Steve, I set my strategy, I worked through the SWOT exercise, I've implemented, I've looked at disaster recovery. I really, at this point, beyond looking at metrics, how much is this going to cost? This is something I'm looking at. And I know because of your extensive background with Classic, I want to know what your thoughts are on budgeting and estimation.
Well, classic budgeting in any corporation or business environment, it comes down to drivers. What are you actually doing and how much time and money is it going to take? Mm-hmm. And the frequency is a big part of that. So I think when we're looking at social media, what we're asking ourselves is how many times a week are we going to blog? Is someone going to monitor Twitter? Mm-hmm. What different activities are going to be taking? And they're kind of like marketing activities, except we're breaking them down because what we're thinking in some of these cases is they might be farmed out to different people, and they might be incremental ads to different people's jobs. And so I think it's good to make an estimate of what those things are and add up the hours that it's going to be and any other incremental expenses. Certainly disaster recovery may require some sort of expense to be prepared or just the time to put together a notebook. But actually I'd like to go back. The strategic plans were high level. Mm-hmm. I'm going to use these skills to attack these opportunities. I'm going to bolster this. I'm going to avoid that. And then the implementation plan, we talked about resources. And somewhere through that process, I'm assuming a decision's been made that, okay, I'm going to outsource this. I might hire for this, or I'm going to train this person or whatever. And then ultimately there becomes an action list. Mm-hmm. And these are the activities we're going to do. Those activities go into the budget calculation. And I really think that it's the detail. It doesn't have to be totally predictive and accurate. I think introducing something like social media, it just needs to be a darn good estimate. Mm-hmm. And then a week or two later after trying to do it, you realize, oh, it's way out of whack, and fine-tune it. But it's the only way to keep this thing from running away. So, Carrie, dealing with your different clients who are implementing social media, have you helped them get to the point where the implementation plan becomes an action list?
Absolutely. I had a client that asked me to do an action list for every single tool that I was going to deploy. And I'll give you an example of what that action list looked like. I was really surprised, actually. I do these tasks every day, so seeing it as a line item helped my client budget for it, but I was actually surprised how many actions went into play. First step is to make sure that your action list is in line with your priorities. A to-do list is random, all kinds of things that you're pulling out of the sky. An action list is specific and it supports your priority. So a priority might be starting a Facebook page. So create the account, adjust the profile picture, adjust the photo strip, uploading photos, making sure there are keyword-loaded terms and phrases on a custom landing tab, making sure the info tab is complete, spelled correctly, has all the appropriate information in it, making sure to port in third-party tools such as your Twitter feed or your LinkedIn account, also making sure that your newsletter sign-up is attached to your Facebook page. So all these kinds of things are action lists that support the one priority is creating a Facebook page.
That's a lot of stuff. It's beginning to sound like a real job.
It shows that as easy as it is, there are specific tasks that go into each one of these. Twitter has many of the same actions. So it's not just turning it on like a light switch. There's certain things you need to do to make sure that your action list is accomplished and that your priority is supported.
Well, I think a budget is also about managing expectations. Mm-hmm. And what I hear out of this is that if somebody's running a business and they're going to delegate some of these activities, it's real important to have this and see how it works so they don't misunderstand it. Also, budget also means obviously money. Mm-hmm. And
absolutely.
Developing a website or putting that together, there's probably a whole process involved in getting bids.
Mm-hmm. There is. And the great thing is that when you're having somebody do this for you, it's recommended that they break it out for you. If you need some help making that estimation and budgeting, please show me what you're going to be doing so that I can appropriately estimate and budget for this. That is not outside of an expectation for you to ask for that kind of information.
You know, for something that we didn't really have to do 5 or 10 years ago, this is amazing now. So we're talking about budgeting and building a website, mm-hmm. and hiring or training someone to manage social media, spending hours a week putting together metrics reports, mm-hmm. and reporting back and fine-tuning and going forward, maybe making some new movies and that sort of thing. How do you know? I mean, why is it necessary?
Well, it really boils back to the business environment that we're working in today. It's necessary because our customers are using it. It's necessary because that's where business is going. It's necessary because if we want to be in business, we have to use all of the tools that our customers are using.
I think I just needed to be reminded of that. So once the budget is done, how often do you think you should review results and
We have a metrics report. I recommend every 30 days because that's a standard snapshot of measurement. In financial terms, as well as social media or any other metric reporting that you're doing for your business. But I like to do a quarterly view as well. The metrics for a month are myopic. Something, some sort of statistical anomaly could happen. The electricity goes out. If you were lucky and you were featured on TV this week, well, that's going to change the metrics for the month. So let's look at an average. If you look at a quarter, you're able to see what your average behavior is like. You're also able to see the movement over 3 months. Now, in social media and interactive internet tools, a year is too long. Too much can happen in a year. So look at a quarter. What it'll allow you to do is reflect on 3 different snapshots of your monthly metrics and then make decisions and see if your priorities still need to stay in the same order, if your strategy is appropriate, or if something needs to change.
what kind of adjustments might somebody make after a quarter review?
You might make a decision to write more blogs or write a different kind of blog. Or if you're recognizing from your Google Analytics that your #1 referrer to your website is your Facebook page, then maybe putting a little bit more emphasis and more time into your Facebook page is warranted because it's going to drive traffic back to your website, which is your home and where money ultimately comes from.
It sounds like a lot to do, but I think once the repetition is started, the quarterly reports and that sort of thing, it'll become second nature. Any new technology, I know, just throws people out of whack for a while.
Absolutely.
And there's an adjustment phase, and what took a long time the first month takes half as long the next month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming this is just going to be a new lifestyle for us.
It is. It really already is. And one example of change is difficult no matter where it's applied in life or business. It just is. But it does happen. That's one thing that you can depend on. But what I will use as an example is Facebook. It's still relatively new in the terms of life. But if you look at how quickly Facebook changes their design, people won't remember. They'll complain and complain and complain about something that's been changed. But then 2 or 3 weeks from now, if you ask them what the old design looked like, they won't even remember.
When I look at all this and I hear you talk, and the more comfortable I get with it, I begin to realize this is just a big adjustment phase. Mm-hmm. And the sooner people experiment and get in with it, the sooner it'll boil down to size. They'll know the right ways to do it and everything else. And I want to thank you so much for just embracing this technology and being such an expert and sharing so much with these people.
Well, I absolutely love it. And what I noticed, just what you said, the more you work with it, the more you spend time in the environment, the easier it gets. And I do have to say, when I started in business, none of this stuff was here. I know I look awfully young, but it's happened so quickly that when I was in college studying computers, none of this was an option. So I've had to learn this just like everybody else. I spend more time in those environments, so I'm more comfortable than your average person. The more time you spend acclimating, the more comfortable you will be.
And you can bring your whole company along with you as you do it. That's
Absolutely.
great. Well, thank you very much, Carrie.
No, thank you for being here.